What is going on, everybody? It's your boy GS Luke here for our round 2 Showdown stream. This time for the Travelers Championship. We're going to cover everything you need to know for Friday's slate, including the weather. We'll talk through my projections and player pool and any of your live questions as we go through the slate. So kick back, get ready to make some lineups together, and of course, want to talk about round 1 to start, which we had some hits, had some misses, some ups and downs like you're used to having with PGA DFS. Some of the highs included Patrick Cantlay, who's up there in the top 5, guys like Xander Schauffele, who also are up there in contention. But at least for me personally, I know a lot of you out there probably are still on Rory McIlroy. The jabroni move of going out there and fading my core pick, why would I do that? But I still think he's fatigued. I still think we're going to see that effect. So if you have Rory, first off, congratulations. But, I'm obviously not reaping those benefits myself. Either circumstance, JT Poston absolutely went off today. I mean, he's tied for first. I put a meme down in the chat saying that, he's telling Rory that he's the captain now. He's going to take control of this golf tournament. And sometime tomorrow morning, JT Poston is likely to be that leader on his own. So that's going to be a screenshot and a half for me. I'm acquaintances with JT Poston. I have a lot of friends that talk to JT Poston on like a daily basis. So it's a nice thing to see my boy JT at the top of a leaderboard. So Homer side, lineups are looking kind of hit or miss at this point, right? Jordan Spieth was one of the major misses. I had 40% in my lineup, so I'm getting hit on that. Probably harder than most of you out there, but seems to be a common pick, right? A lot of sharps were on Jordan Spieth. He was only like 14% owned, which was a little bit surprising to me. That was actually a little bit, I was really happy about that when I woke up. I was very surprised about it, but not working out to this point, right? Sometimes you're going to hit some, like with a JT Poston, like a Cantlay and Xander Schauffele, and sometimes you're going to swing and miss. That's the beauty of going out there, entering 150 lineups, differentiating your player pool, exactly what we're going to talk about here in this video as well. So let's go ahead and start off first with a look at the weather. We'll talk about what I expect for the conditions tomorrow, and then we'll talk about the strategy and player pool side. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. I'll catch up on chat as well before we hop into it. So I can see a few of you down there. What is going on, Wilson Dog? I'm always down there early in chat. Tayshawn's down here. He says, what's up, big dog? Luke had his best golf shirt, hat combos in the game. I like to think I have some pretty good ones, but we'll have some new ones coming in the future. I'm always adding to the hat and shirt game, that's for sure. Nick Marr says, I just came here for reassurance to play 100% Spieth. I'm not going 100%, but he's a damn solid showdown play tomorrow, so I don't want to talk you off that, Nick. I know you're going full in on Jordan Spieth tomorrow, and might actually work out for you. Corey says, will Tringali make the cut? I'll have to check what he ended at. I think it was like 2 over par or something like that. We'll have to see. He needs like 3 to 4 under par tomorrow. Tayshawn says, I took a lot of birdie makers, Rory included. I think the only one that failed you was Jason Kokrak. I'm assuming that's on Prize Picks. For 4-round contests, he shot -3 today. So I believe one of them was an eagle. So he had an eagle, 2 birdies, and a bogey or something like that. True Jason Kokrak form. He's kind of just meandering around, not doing anything, and then makes an eagle out of nowhere. That's just kind of what Jason Kokrak does. It's definitely an interesting game. We have Nick Marr says, is everything okay? This is the first time to see a stream without a polo. Yeah, going with more of a casual look this time around. Yeah, just, didn't feel like dressing up. Just figured, would kick back, make some lineups together. Good catch on that, though. I wear a polo like 99.9% of the time. So safe to say that, yeah, we're changing the vibe up this time a little bit. Gonna take it a little bit more relaxed here. Chris Palmer says, does Spieth come back and make the cut? I don't think so. I'd be the first one to say that. What he's +4, +5 at this point, somewhere in that range. Not likely. He really looked off today with the swing. And if he does, it's going to take like a 6 or 7 under round. So if anyone's going to do it, I wouldn't put it past him, but we'll have to see. Pro Reactor is on that Rory train. I'm glad to see you guys are on him. Obviously, he was a core pick for a reason. A lot of people didn't play him, including myself, because of that fatigue stuff. But, it's kind of the narrative that just keeps on paying off is when somebody complains before an event about anything. Colin Morikawa with his irons before the the Open Championship. This week, right? Rory McIlroy with his fatigue. Time and time again, these guys go out and they absolutely smash. I mean, even last week at the U.S. Open, right? Colin Morikawa was talking crap about his own game. and then goes out there and ends up finishing in the top 10 by the end of the week, right? Was the leader through 2 rounds at the US Open. I mean, give me a break, right? I think a lot of times, myself included, when we get a little bit too involved into the narratives, sometimes it bites us in the ass, right? And I'll be the first one to say, at this point, the whole Rory McIlroy thing is biting me in the butt. So, like I said, I hope a lot of you played him as the core pick. I know a lot of you did. Don't be a jabroni like me and don't play your core picks, right? Let's talk through the slate, though. So the scoring average today was slightly under par. If we split this by wave, you can see in the morning it was slightly easier than the afternoon. In the morning, it played to right around a third of a stroke under par, which is similar to what we saw all of 2021. So over the 4 rounds, if you remember, the scoring average was exactly a third of a stroke under par. So pretty much right on line with that. But in the afternoon, played over par, right? Almost 2/10 of a stroke over par. So about a half a stroke difference between the waves. A lot of that was due to the wind, but also because the course is getting a little bit firmer and faster. Because it's starting to dry out, they did get that rain on Tuesday and Wednesday that I talked about extensively on the stream yesterday. That's going to dry out, right? You're going to see evaporation on that for at least the next 2, maybe even 3 days for the entire golf tournament. Going to get more difficult over the weekend, and I don't expect it to be like a shot different, right? But in the morning, it's going to play a little bit harder than a third of a stroke under par. Maybe it plays like a 10th of a stroke under par, something like that. In the afternoon, because the wind is going to kick up, you're going to see something maybe like a half a stroke over par difference, where it's playing close to maybe 0.6, 0.7 shots over par by the afternoon, because the wind is right around what we saw today. But I'm also expecting those firm and fast conditions to be, first off, worse in the morning, but even worse as the day goes on, because you can see there's no rain in the forecast. It's going to be in the 70s, 80s there for most of the morning, and sunny. There's not going to be many clouds out. So expect things to get drier and drier as the week goes on. And in terms of playing conditions and what I'm looking for in DFS, I'm certainly favoring this morning wave, right? It's about a half a stroke difference what we saw today. Tomorrow, because there's pretty much no wind in the morning, and then in the afternoon, it's not like it's that much higher, but you're talking about the difference between 1 to 2 miles an hour of sustained winds and then 8 to 9 miles an hour, right? It's 4 times higher. You're pretty much talking about playing in a dome versus playing in like mild conditions, right? So you're not talking about like a 2-stroke difference between the 2 waves. But if it's going to be larger than the half a stroke difference than we already saw today, so it's something closer to maybe a stroke, 1.25 strokes or something like that for day 2, you certainly want to be playing that wave. So when we hop into the player pool, you're going to see that I'm favoring the AM wave. In fact, I'm only playing guys playing in the AM wave. And when you're playing in round 2 showdown, so we'll hop over to the player pool so I can talk through this. Essentially, you have to pick a narrative to go with, right? You have to be able to go out there, put your flag down, because there's 152 golfers to choose from. And in showdown, unless you're 150 maxing, it's really hard to go out there and play 40 to 50 different players. So let's go ahead and bring this up there. I'll catch up on chat before we hop into it. Let's see what we got down here. Let's see. I was back here with Nick. Nick already said that. You're good. We got Wilson Dog who says the thing about his grandfather. Yep. Justin, relax. You don't have to say that, dude. It's all good, dude. Nick Mars says Rory has a 73 in him one day this week. He might even have worse than a 73 in him one of these days this week. I mean, his putting really carried him today. He made a 45-footer. He made a couple 20 to 30 footers, right? That probably should have been pars. So if his ball striking was there, he shot like 3 to 4 under par at best today. But on top of that, he chipped in at one point. A few drives were very close to being in fescue, where they ended up being in the fairway instead. I mean, it's a game of inches, right? That's the game that we play here with golf, and wouldn't surprise me. So, yeah, I think he's going to regress, but 8 under par the first round, man, I mean, like, I did not expect that. It's like the biggest FU that I could have had. He even admitted after the round that he didn't fit all that. Sorry, my mouth is so dry. I'm going to have to get water here in a second. He even admitted that he didn't feel his best out there. So I definitely agree that he's going to regress to the field, but that's a heck of a start for Rory McIlroy. Definitely have to say that. Justin Wilson says Danny Lee did Danny Lee things today. Yeah, he pulled a Louis Oosthuizen, right? Went out there, ended up just withdrawing after he was like 4 or 5 over par. He shanked a shot on that drivable par 4, ended up making a bogey on the easiest hole in the golf course. That probably set him over the edge, right? A few other people that completely ejected today. I mean, like Jordan Spieth, right? He had like 2 water balls and 2 straight holes. He was 5 over par, and I went and took a nap. Now, I'm not kidding when I say this, guys. I woke up from the nap, and they said that he made 2 straight birdies, and I'm like, okay, I must be dreaming. There's no chance that Jordan Spieth made 2 straight birdies. And then I saw him hit his tee shot on that par 3 into the water. I went, no, this makes sense. This is exactly what would have happened in real life. So I knew I wasn't dreaming at that point. I was like, okay, I can go back to my nap. I know that he's going to miss the cut here. Let's go ahead and talk through this player pool. So at the top of the board, like I said, I'm going after all AM guys, and that's throughout the entire player pool here. The main reason for that is the split, but also just more receptive conditions. In my opinion, a lot of the better plays are also teeing off in the morning. And my main strategy for Showdown, regardless of the round, especially for round 2, is to target the guys that didn't play well in round 1 as a twofold, let's see, advantage, right? So first off, they're lower round, right? The guys that didn't play well in round 1, like a Sam Burns, for example, like a Jordan Spieth, are going to be ignored. People don't want to play them because they're quote unquote in bad form. But there's a reason why guys like Sam Burns, Jordan Spieth were modeling as top 10 plays going into the week. Clearly, golf is a volatile sport. You're going to have bad rounds from time to time, right? I'm not going to overreact to that. So that's the first end of the advantage. The second end of the advantage is that the guys that aren't playing well have to play well to make the cut. They have to make up for that tomorrow, right? Somebody like Sam Burns has to shoot probably 2 to 3 under par to make the cut. He's right around, I believe, even par at this point. Jordan Spieth has to shoot 6 or 7 under par to make the cut. You're talking about their intentions aligning with your intentions, which is for them to go as low as humanly possible. And for large field GPPs, that's what you're looking for. And in round 2 Showdown, you're not getting placement points. It doesn't matter how they played in round 1. You're not getting any credit for the 8 birdies in the bogey-free round that Rory McIlroy had today, or for somebody like a Xander Schauffele. So for them to be 30 and almost 40% owned between the two of them is blasphemous. It makes absolutely no sense. I mean, to get leverage on either of those plays, you're going to have to take 60, 70% of them in your lineups. And do you really think they're cracking the optimal build that percentage of the time? I mean, I can tell you it's far from that. Their optimal rates, at least per what I calculate, are like 10%. Round to round on the PGA Tour. Showdown is extremely volatile, and most of the times, the optimal lineup leaves $1,000, maybe even $2,000 worth of salary on the table. Now, the takedown in GPP, even the largest GPPs, you usually don't need to have that optimal lineup, right? So it's not that big a deal, but that should just point out the fact that you don't always have to take the guys up top that are chalky, right? By pivoting to some of these lower owned options, planning your flag in guys that might be a little bit uncomfortable, that's how you get your edge for Showdown. So that's certainly what I would say. I mean, going back to guys that struggled in the morning is what I'm doing. I can see somebody down there out of the corner of my eye mentioned Mito and Varner. Unfortunately for both, I believe they're playing in the afternoon wave. So that would be my only thing against them. But yeah, look at the guys I have here in the morning wave, right? Sam Burns, great bounce back candidate. Aaron Wise didn't even have the best day today. Mark Leishman, right? He shot 1 over par. Great bounce back candidate. You can see I still have guys like Keith Mitchell in there, right? He had a solid round today. I still have Patrick Cantley in the player pool, right? So it's not going to be all bounce backs. Perhaps guys that already started hot continue hot in the morning wave. But that's the type of player pool that I'm going for here. So we'll talk through the entire pool. Love Sam Burns, love Scotty Scheffler. He, kind of just got by, shot 2 under par today. Nothing real special there. $10,800. He's a little bit expensive, but you're also talking about, what is it? Like, it's not half the ownership of somebody like a Rory McIlroy, but in large, I should say, high dollar contests, the higher stakes contests, you're going to deal with an even bigger difference between Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy. Probably going to be like 40, 50% ownership on Rory and something like the $100 single entry. $33 single entry, you're probably going to get close to 40% ownership on a Rory McIlroy, whereas that's going to go down, right, for Scotty Scheffler. You might see like 20, 15% ownership on somebody like Scotty in those contests. It makes them an even better pivot, in my opinion, in those sort of builds. So we talked about Sam Burns, obviously, more than volatile enough to go out there and pay off in Showdown. Patrick Cantlay looked beautiful today. At his ownership, I think he's worth taking a few stabs at. $10,200 is more than fair too. Joaquin Niemann had a horrible day. He was, I believe, 5 over par at one point, ended up to 2 or 3 over par. Nothing real bad there. But he's a volatile player who needs to go out there and make the cut, right? He's got to shoot 4 or 5 under par at the very least to go out there and make the weekend, and he has the firepower to do so. Jordan Spieth, it's not really as much for him to go out there and make the cut. Jordan Spieth has too much pride. I mean, you just know that about Jordan Spieth. He's going to go out there and die on his shield, right? Kind of like a UFC fighter that has that grit to them, that heart to them. They will not give up even when they're behind the 8 ball, when they're getting their absolute ass whooped, right? Jordan Spieth, for example, right? He'll start in like 60th place on a Sunday. Forget what golf tournament was. He shot 8 under par on a Sunday, like dead last, ended up finishing in 15th at that golf tournament. It was about 2.5 months ago. He's more than capable of doing this. So, Jordan Spieth, he knows all the cameras are on him. He knows he's going to be in the featured group tomorrow. He's only $9,300. So I think there's a little bit to what Nick Marsh is doing. Somebody who's going out there and actually locking in Jordan Spieth on this slate. Now, I'm not going to be going out there and locking him in tomorrow, but 35, 40%, maybe even 50% Jordan Spieth might catch my attention there. So we'll have to see what it all comes down to. I'm probably playing 150 lineups for tomorrow. If so, I'm probably playing him in at least 60, 75 of those 150 lineups. Moving down a little bit further, I don't hate guys like Tony Finau just playing in the afternoon wave. Same thing with Davis Riley. So I'm not going to be playing them. I will be fading Keegan Bradley, just a fade for me, and 4-round stuff also going to be for Showdown. Mito playing in the afternoon wave, but I don't hate him as a bounce back candidate. Somebody who shot over par today but ended on a good run, ended up shooting 3 under par through his last 5 holes. So it could be worth a look there. I like Aaron Wise playing in the morning. Didn't have the best day today. Seamus Power, another early riser tomorrow, might be worth a few looks. Mark Leishman, he shot 1 over today. He was kind of all over God's creation early in the round. He was missing greens with the short siding, but he was 1 over par through 12 holes, I believe hitting like 3 or 4 greens. So clearly the putting is there. He just has to get the ball striking in order. So he has some time right tonight to go to the range tomorrow morning to figure out something, to get his swing thoughts down. If he can just hit a few more greens, continue that hot putter, rather than a 1 over round, it could be something like 4 to 5 under par. So always like Mark Leishman in Showdown, particularly when he's got the putter working. Keith Mitchell, same story. He's got the putter working. I liked him as a 3M comp there, so I'm getting there. Joel Damon, he was chalky in 4-round stuff, but I don't expect him to be super chalky for round 2 Showdown. So I'll be there at $7,900. McNeely started horribly. He was 4 over par through his first 2 holes, which is just dreadful. Then he ended up bogeying the easiest par 5 on the golf course. I thought he was a complete lost cause, but he did rebound towards the end. I believe made 4 or 5 birdies on the day. So clearly has the flat stick working, just has to clean up that game. And for Showdown, it doesn't matter how you played it in round 1, right? I'm willing to forgive and forget for round 2 Showdown. It's been a really solid strategy over the years. KH Lee had a solid round today. I'm getting back to him. Also teeing off in the morning wave, Johnny Vegas. A little bit disappointing, but he's got the firepower to go and take this place low, particularly if he's driving the ball well. So it's $7,500. I think he has some upside worth getting to. Sepp Straka, same story, just has to drive the ball well. Has more than enough firepower with the putter. David Lipsky, he started -2. He was one of the best players that started early in the second in the PM wave, but kind of faltered towards the end. Maybe he can rekindle the fire, go out there and shoot like 3 to 4 under par. Pan Kazire is always a look in Showdown. And for whatever reason, Pan Kazire is relatively long off the tee. He's also relatively inaccurate. But when you put him at a golf course where you have to be accurate off the tee, a golf course that, kind of makes people club down, right? Makes people take iron off the tee a little bit more than they want to. Pan Kazire tends to have success. So I don't know why. Right, because he is relatively inaccurate off the tee, but we've seen that at the Players Championship. We've seen him have success at the RSM Classic, the American Express. 2 of those courses in that rotation are relatively short. He's had success at all of those golf tournaments, so there's something to be had there. Plus, he's good in Showdown. He's just a volatile player to begin with. So I'll be getting to Pan Kazire, who started well with his first round. Adam Long, he started pretty well too. We'll be playing in the morning wave. Probably worth a few looks. Russell Knox and Alex Smalley, also early risers that I'm getting to, both ball strikers that just need to get a hot putter working to go out there and take this place low. Matt Wallace, another AM guy, $7,000. very volatile. So you're probably looking at 3 to 4 under par for Wallace or something like 3 to 4 over par. So wouldn't put him in your single entry or your main lineup here for round 2, but worth a few looks in some of the larger field contests. Carlos Ortiz, if you don't like him because of the live stuff, don't play him, but he's also going to be like 1% owned because of it. He's $7,000. He's great in Showdown because of how hot the putter can get. Carlos Ortiz can shoot even par, but make you 7 birdies on the round. That's the type of player that Ortiz can be from time to time. So I'll be getting there at $7,000. I guess before we hop into the 6K options, I will catch up on chat. Let's see what we got down here. We talked about Mito and Varner already. Justin Wilson says, Cam Smith did it at the RBC. Why not Spieth? Exactly, right? We've seen it a few times. I don't think it's likely, but it certainly is possible. He's got to shoot like 6, maybe 7 under par tomorrow. So we'll see. Nick Morris is going to be 100% on Spieth, but I didn't tell you I'm only playing single entry. Makes a lot more sense than Nick. Wilson Dog says, you're good, Justin. Sweet. Good to see you guys have made up down there. Nick Barson says, Spieth starts at 10. Any advantage starting on the back? You would actually want to start on the front 9. So the only reason I say that is hole number 10 is an extremely difficult driving hole. So I guess it's just case by case, right? If you're the kind of player who, had a good range session and you want to get out there, hit your first tee shot, and starting at hole 10 is probably a good thing because it's one of the hardest drives on the golf course. You have a dense forest down the left, a maintenance area down the left, which isn't OB, but if you hit it down there, you're going to be screwed anyways. You're in a pretty dense forest. Down the right side is OB. So there's not really a good place to miss off of hole number 10. Whereas hole number 1, it was the most difficult hole on the golf course. There is no OB there, though. So it's really, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place between holes number 1 and 10. But if I had to nitpick there, I would want to start on hole number 1. So I don't think there's a huge advantage to begin with. You're talking about a marginal difference there. Corey says, which golfer can come back on Rory and win? To be honest, I think Cantlay is in a great position, so I won't go up there. I guess we can just talk about it generalistically. He's a great putter, loves this golf course. He finishes in the top 15 pretty much every single year, and the ball striking looked great today. He was hitting plenty of fairways. The tempo looked there, and more importantly, he was the best wedge player of anybody up there in the top 5. Xander Schauffele hit every single green today, so maybe Xander Schauffele would be my second option. But Patrick Cantlay, specifically with those wedges, he was the only one really stopping it right next to the hole and then spinning it back 1 to 2 feet. He wasn't doing like the power spin back like somebody like a Cameron Champ usually does. It was more of that, dead armed, almost Justin Thomas type of wedge where, he's sticking it to 3-4 feet all day. And if Cantlay's back to hitting irons like that, he's going to be a hard guy to beat this week because his putting is unbelievable. He's not missing those 5 to 6 footers. Jordan Spieth today missed like 3 to 4 of those like 5 to 6 foot birdie putts, which was infuriating, especially early when he wasn't like 5 to 6 over par. But yeah, Cantlay, man, has a lot of firepower. He would be my pick. Hef Sterling says, any chance JT Poston could be as good tomorrow as he was today? I'm not betting on it. He's not going to be in my player pool, and I'm a JT Poston truther, right? Like I said, I'm an acquaintance with him. I've spoken with him before. Great player and whatnot, but I don't think I'm going to have him in my player pool, to be honest. He's a volatile player, to say the best. His irons come and go quickly. He tends to be a solid putter pretty much every single round, but the ball striking, not so much. So I'm not sure if I can get there, Hef. I think there's going to be quite a few people that get to him too. He was 0.9% owned in 4-round stuff. That was half the attraction of getting to a JT Poston. Tomorrow, you're probably going to see him like 6-7% owned. So it's not quite the same situation. It's not quite as attractive as what we had going into the week, but I don't think it's a horrible play. JG Funk says, who got the Chileans in one and done? Oof. I'll just leave it at oof. Hey, I think that they can both make the cut. They have the firepower to get there, JG. I'll be rooting for you. But oof, yeah, I would. They're not bad picks this week, to be honest with you. I played both of them in my player pool. I thought they'd have good weeks too. So I'm in lockstep with you there. But oof, yeah, I did not like how they played today. Let's just say that much too. Let's talk through these 6K options, though. So I'm getting the Kevin Streelman. He's teeing off in the morning, but more importantly, has won it this golf course. So clearly likes the greens here, has been able to gain strokes on them in the past. So let's just see it happen here in round 2, right? It's happened before. It can happen again. We've seen crazier things happen for Streelman. JJ Spawn didn't play all that well this afternoon. Another guy I'm looking to bounce back. Great ball striking numbers for Spawn. You take a look at his last 24 and last 50 measured rounds. Just needs to get the flat stick working, that's for sure. Matthias Schwab, another player in the AM wave at $6,900. Another aggressive player that needs to go out there and make a splash to move up the leaderboard. Cameron Champ, probably my favorite play for Showdown. Started horribly today, was well over par, but ended up even par. And the putter is really what got him back into it. He started to make some of those 15-foot birdie putts. And I believe it was like a 60 or 70-foot putt on his 18th hole. He almost lipped out to end the day 1 under par. I mean, just, when you're that dialed in with the pace, you start to see the greens like Cameron Champ was for his last 12 holes. It's a scary thing when you're somebody who's as good off the tee as Cameron Champ, right? I mean, if he's hitting fairways around this golf course, he's going to have sub 100 yards into at least 6-7 of the greens, if not more than that, from less than 120 yards. True sand wedge territory, even gap wedge territory for somebody like a Cameron Champ. So he brings immense upside when it comes to Showdown. I played, what was it? He's an 18 of my lineup. So I played 12% Cameron Champ in my 4-round lineups. I'm feeling really good about that. I know he's even par right now, but Cameron Champ, I just have a feeling he's a ticking time bomb waiting to go off tomorrow, especially with the putting that we saw late. And same thing with Matthew Wolff. He's that same type of player. He's at 1 over par. That's good for Matthew Wolff, right? Matthew Wolff, guys, is usually somebody who's going to shoot well under par or well over par. Round 1, he was kind of in the middle, right? He was average, pretty mediocre for the first round, just 1 shot or 2 shots off of the current cut line at this point. It's close to even par though, right? So that's why I said 1 shot off the cut line. Hey, not too shabby, right? If you can clean that up a little bit, go out there and make some putts like Matthew Wolff typically does, might be worth a few looks here in Showdown. So I played him in 4-round stuff. I'll be going back to it here. He's playing in the morning wave. One thing I'll say too, he's got some sick flow. He's got the long hair going. I like the look for Matthew Wolff. I think he's going for the mullet, guys. Trust me, if Matthew Wolff grows a mullet, he's going to be one of my favorite players. There's something to be said. When Cam Smith added the mullet, I should say before Cam Smith added the mullet, nobody liked the guy. Now everyone loves Cam Smith, right? We got to get Matthew Wolff a mullet. I think he would he'd be able to rock the mullet pretty well. Chris Goddard up at $6,700. I'm rocking that too. Great ball striker. Just needs to figure it out with the putter too. I mean, you could see that last week, was a consistent loser in that category, but it's hard not to make birdies when you're hitting it to 5 to 6 feet. And Chris Goddard looks like a stud iron player, so I'm getting there. I'm getting to Higo at $6,600. He didn't look the best, but he played well last time out. He's a high upside player. We know that, can make birdies in bunches. And even when Garrick Higo is shooting over par, he's typically still making at least 3, 4, 5 birdies in a round, which is great for Showdown purposes. Peter Minotti, I love in Showdown too. He's almost always due for a super low round at a short golf course, and he's licking his chops when he gets to this type of golf course, that's for sure. So I like him at that price tag. And the last guy in the player pool is Harry Higgs at $6,500. He's a super low-owned play that can get extremely hot with the putter, short golf course, teeing off in the morning wave, checking really 2 of the 3 boxes that I'm looking for. The 1 box he's not checking is just ball striking form, right? He's a shaky ball striker at best when it comes to the big rig at this point, but that putting upside is there, and he's teeing off in the morning, and he's super cheap. So, you're getting what you pay for, and I'm taking a chance on the big rig. Let's go ahead and catch up on chat before we hop on out of here, because that's all I've got here. Let's see what we got. We got Hef Sterling, who says P. Reed can grow a mullet. He'd still be hated. I agree. There's some people that it just doesn't work for. I would say that a majority players on tour could not rock a mullet and get away with it. But just based on Matthew Wolff today with the hair that was already getting longer, I think he's going to be able to rock it. If you guys saw him on the telecast, you'd probably know what I'm talking about. JG Funk says, I'll be praying tonight for the Chileans. That's for sure. I'll be praying for you, to be honest. I actually ended up playing Mito. So a couple of the changes I made, so right, Rory McIlroy, I ended up swapping off of him to Xander Schauffele. I talked about that on the stream yesterday. I also ended up swapping on to Tony Finau because of the Sun GM news. I talked about that on stream too. That was something that I told you I was going to do, but I also got on Mito Pereira. I played 15% of them, which was right at the field average. So I didn't, go crazy on him. I didn't go well under the field. I just love Mito Pereira. I've been talking about him for quite some time. I have a hard time not playing him in my lineups. Just anytime you have somebody you really like on tour that you want to root for, right? If you don't really want to play a ton of them, just match the field on them, right? They're not going to kill or completely destroy your week in that circumstance. So that's what I went with. So we'll catch up on any questions we've got. Let's see, we got JG Funk. He says, we need a 6 of 6 mullet lineup. Wolf, Smith, Fleetwood, Patrick Rogers, 2 more needed. Let me think. Andrew Putnam was rocking one for a while, JG. So maybe we can put Putnam in there. I'm trying to think. I feel like there's somebody else. Morgan Hoffman. Morgan Hoffman's got long hair. It's not a mullet, right? So it's kind of like he could half fit into that lineup. But hey, we might be able to fit 6 people into that. Nick Moore says, anyone see a shot from Fowler today? Nope. And I guarantee you that was on purpose, right? Because he's going to the live, being shunned from the broadcast. And Nick Moore says, Stewart just needs to grow a mullet. Never. He's one of the guys that if he grew a mullet, I would have no interest in playing. Yeah, Brian Stewart, probably my least favorite player on tour, but that's all I've got here for the Showdown stream, guys. Gonna cut it short here. Try and just bring you all the information you need, nothing else though. If you're watching this on replay and you have any questions, go ahead and throw them down in the comments. I'll get back to you when I can. We will be doing the same thing here for rounds 3 and 4, so make sure to stop on by. I'm expecting to go live right around 8 p.m. Eastern time, so a little bit later than what we did today. Obviously, got to wait for the cut line information to go through. Projections take a little bit longer for the last 2 rounds, so bear with me while I get all of that done, but we will be going live for both rounds, so count on that. And also going to have a prize picks video dropping in like an hour. So if you're looking for the prop side of things, which has been extremely profitable for us here on the channel, make sure to go ahead and look out for that video. So if you haven't already smashed that like button too, please go ahead and do that before you hop on out of here. I mean, why haven't you already at this point? But until next time, guys, best of luck, and let's get this cash around too.